We're going to go over the nomenclature of organic compounds. The first question we have here is to give the UPAC name of all of these compounds we have. So for the first one, the first thing that we're going to do is to get to identify the functional groups which are present in these organic compounds. Now if we look at this one, we've got an ether. Whenever we've got an oxygen at the middle with two groups on both sides, that is an ether. So for an ether, we're going to identify the longest chain first. So starting from where the oxygen is, in which direction are we going to go such that we get the longest chain of carbons? It's in this direction. We've got 1 and 2 there. That means this is going to be a group. So this CH3 together with the oxygen is going to be taken as the group. Therefore, since the group or the substituent has got only one carbon, that is going to be called a meth. But because there's an oxygen, that will be called methox. Okay. And then now we get to state the name of the whole compound. Now the main chain has got two carbons. This is simply an ethane. They are just single bonds there. So this is methoxyethane. That is going to be the name. Now let's look at the second one. Well, what functional group is present in the second one? When we look at this functional group here, this functional group is for an ester. Okay, that's for an ester. So to be able to name an ester, we are going to get to look at the portion which is nearest to oxygen. We have got this compound with 3 carbons. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be the substituent of this group. That is going to be the group. And then this is going to be the main chain. So in other words, you first start by naming the part that came from the alcohol, and then you name the other part that came from the acid. And so the part that came from the alcohol has got only 3 carbons, and it is in form of a circle. So that is going to be called cyclopro, but because it's a group, that is going to be called propyl. And then this one has got 2 carbons. The name is going to be what? Eth. But because it's an ester, it is ethanoate. So that is going to be the name. Now let's look at C. We need to identify the functional groups. Functional group we have there is an alcohol functional group. So we'll start naming at the position which will give the alcohol group a smallest number, and then we need to get the longest chain. So the longest chain is supposed to go in this direction. That means this is going to be a substituent group. So the first thing is we are going to mention where the group is. That is a position number 2. So at position number 2 I've got a methyl. So that will be 2-methyl. And then the whole alcohol here is made up of how many carbons? We have got 4 carbons. So that is a butane. But we are going to drop the E at the end of butane. And then I'll put a dash, state the position where the OH is. That's position number 1. And then at the end put O. So that is going to be the name. Now look at D. I've got CH3, CH2, and then N, CH2, CH3. What is the functional group in this compound? So the functional group present is the N. That is an amine. So to name an amine, we are going to consider the things which are around it here. And we can see that everything around this amine are all methyls. I mean ethyls. They are all containing 2 carbons, 1, 2. Even in this direction 1, 2. Even in this direction 1, 2. So therefore we're going to name that. So that is a triethyl. And then we state this is an amine. So that will be triethyl amine. So that is going to be the name. Okay. Now let's look at the last one here. We've got CH3 C double bonded to O. What is the function group present in this compound? So the functional group we have here is this one. That is a ketone. Whenever we see C double bonded with oxygen at the middle of the chain, that is a ketone. But if this group was at the end of the chain, that would have been an aldehyde. So we're going to identify the longest chain, and we're going to name it in such a way that the ketone group receives the lowest number. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So therefore the name of this one, if we consider the one having a organic compound having 5 carbons. That is what? A pent. Now at which position do we have the functional group? So that was supposed to be pentane, but we will drop the E at the end, and then I'm going to put the position where the functional group is at position number 2. And then what functional group do we have here? It is a ketone. So for a ketone we add 1 at the end, or we could have said 2 pentane, but we drop the E at the end and then put ONE. So 2 pentanone. So that would have been